Humans are unique, and we shouldn't be afraid of what's coming with AI moving forward. Let's find out more with me and Andrea in today's conversation for Rock SEO. Andrea Volpini is a visionary entrepreneur and long-time researcher in the fields of semantic web and artificial intelligence. In 2017, he founded WordLift, a company dedicated to helping businesses become more visible in AI-powered search through knowledge graphs and structured data. He is also the co-founder of Inside Out 10 and RedLink, bringing more than 25 years of world-class experience in online strategy, web publishing, and digital innovation while working with enterprise companies worldwide. Outside of work, Andrea enjoys spending time with his family, playing with his two daughters, and skiing.
Hello, thanks for the invite. Excited to be here today.
Today's conversation will be a bit heavy on AI, obviously, with you here. So I think for our viewers, we can start with a bit of intro about yourself.
I'm an SEO and a CEO, co-founder and CEO of WordLift. I've been working many years on symbolic AI and how it overlaps with digital marketing and content marketing and of course search engine optimization. So yeah, kind of a mix of different competences, and I've been starting up several companies before than WordLift, and so excited about this new phase that we're going through. It looks like the web in 1995. I just got older, wider hair, but same excitement as back then.
Thank you for sharing that. I think we can start with maybe the name of your current company. Why WordLift?
Yeah. First, I mean, what is WordLift? WordLift is an enterprise platform for supporting brands with AI visibility and automation, and it's a binomial stack. So there is a knowledge graph that acts as a memory layer, and then there is an agentic components that automates marketing and SEO tasks. The origin of the name, it's quite simple. I mean, a lot of communication between humans goes through the written channel. We use words. Words have meanings, and for a machine, of course, the meaning might differ. And so the purpose of WordLift has always been to have the ability to transfer this meaning to machine. So if we lift the word, then there is a meaning that is accessible to machines. This is way before the arrival of large language model and the explosion of AI. So I've been in this field for quite some time, starting with natural language processing and open data, then became linked data. All in all, we can still call it Semantic Web technology stack that has been highly revitalized by the use of large language models.
I personally like how technical we're going, but we have to appreciate that not all of our guests here and listeners will be technical.
I'll do my best to dumb it down and be as simple as possible.
Okay, the technical stuff. Let's unpack a little bit. You touched earlier on knowledge graph and structured data. Just those two, I think, are really huge topics. Why do you think they're so important today?
Today's experience with agentic AI, it's overwhelming for many of us, right? There is so many things happening, and just today I was testing the new GPT 5.3. That includes interesting component for computer use, which means that it can use the computer in a very efficient way. Some charts will tell you that it's better than a human at using a computer and filling up a form and opening a web browser, and that's of course it's extremely fascinating. However, the work that we do, it's primarily related to the idea that agentic AI has an amnesia problem. When you deal with an agent, the agent might fill up his context window, as it's called. In the transformer architecture, as we know, there is an important mechanism that is called attention, and that means that the model is trained to attend to single words, and it can therefore keep an internal memory as we progress with the conversation. However, there is a limit on this attention span that is technically called context window. Now, aside from the technical aspects of it and how transformer functions, it is quite true that in order to address this amnesia problem and to build also multi-agent systems and have multiple AIs collaborating together, we have to make sure that there is an ontological core, a set of key concepts that these autonomous or semi-autonomous systems can deal with in order to describe your brands, your key person and key products, and so on and so forth. So we focus on knowledge graph in order to provide this memory layer to the extrovert agents and to the introvert agent. Now, agents can be extrovert when, for example, they have primarily the goal of dealing with open-ended questions. An extrovert agent is ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity. They have basically an infrastructure called retrieval augmented generation that allows them to search things for us and provide a question back in returns. The introvert agent is the agent that, for example, I use for checking on the SEO of my website, the agent that I use for example, doing a keyword research or for understanding what is the status of the accessibility on my website. So these are introvert agents. They are designed to work with me, and they are exposed to a more limited set of information, not the entire World Wide Web. Now, a knowledge graph sits in between these two systems, the introvert and the extrovert, and has the primary goal of making things clear as possible. So I'm Andrea, I'm a CEO of WordLift. This is a fact, and it can be expressed in a way that for a language model, it's unquestionable and not ambiguous. Another key example, of course, still remains disambiguation. There is a way more famous Andrea Volpini, who is an Olympic swimmer, and it's nothing to do with the nerd that you're speaking now with. And so in order for a machine to understand who's who, we can use a knowledge graph like Google does, for example. And this is, of course, in the context of SEO, we have been aware of the presence of knowledge graphs since the introduction of Google Knowledge Graph. And of course, its importance is growing as AI is becoming more and more relevant in everyday work.
Great stuff. Since I have you here and you touch on a number of things, I'm getting many ideas. But one thing which we can sort of give a preview, perhaps, to the viewers, the latest ChatGPT. I saw it as well. I have not tested it. Can you maybe tell the listeners, what are the pros and cons? Maybe not. We kind of don't have to go in super deep dive, but just at a high level.
I haven't studied yet the model in depth, but there are a couple of things that are extremely interesting. It seems to be very much versed for reasoning, and this is an important ability in order for the model to control more and better what it says and what it writes. And this brings it, I think, a la par or slightly below Opus 4.6 by Anthropic, that currently represents the gold standard for highly complex technical work. So I think that this new release of GPT is getting closer to Opus 4.6 in terms of technical proficiency, code writing being the primary use case. However, there seems to be a more one of the limitation of generally of this reasoning engine, as we should call the reasoning language model, is that they actually might incur in more hallucination, simply because the reasoning trails and the extended time spent on what is called time inference. So the time that the model spends before providing the answer back to the user can actually be error prone, can bring the model to a place where it shouldn't go. And so from the analysis that I've read, that seems to be the case also for this latest GPT. One of the most, I think, fascinating aspect of this new model is ability to run Playwright. Playwright is embedded browser, is a headless browser, and this is quite obvious. I mean, most of the community working with this technology has been using Playwright alongside an agentic system, whether it's running on Anthropic or OpenAI. Playwright is the way in which we let the system see, for example, a web page. Now, this has been tightly integrated in 5.3, and that makes it extremely fast to for example, test your new website or run an accessibility audit of your new mobile web application. Things like that can be done.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's what seems to be one of the key advantage. Now we have our own agent WordLift, that is running on OpenAI Azure, which is kind of the enterprise variant of OpenAI. And so I'm really looking forward to get the 5.3 models into our agent, because that would allow me more clearly to see the advantage of the new models, because of course it's an agent that we designed, and so I know exactly the strength and the deficits that he has. And so looking forward to see it in action into our agent.
This is great. And what you mentioned earlier, that the hallucination part, it's very true. And it seems that every time they do an update, it goes good on one side, but then another side maybe fall for another area. And I mean, we did big steps from the earlier models where they were hallucinating like insane, right? This, I would say, in certain areas they might still do it. And but the relevance, because you find out that sometimes you do queries and you have to refine them, but then the better the prompt. For me, I notice when I speak to it, to chat, for example, when you write a prompt, I mean, you say a prompt with your speech, with your voice, it's extremely accurate rather than when you type it, because you have a tendency to type less. That's what I tell also some of my clients, that if you get visibility there, you'll get voice queries, blah blah blah, which we've been talking for ages, right?
For ages, and now it's finally almost becoming reality.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one thing, and I think we can connect to the more businessy side of things, which I know. I mean, you have your company and you provide enterprise services. Do you think there is still a big disconnect between essentially the features out there, clients seeing things and picking up the phone and asking you, "Hey, we want to do those things. What can you do for us?" Because for me, it was sometimes a challenge to explain, and it being, let's say, one, ahead of the curve, but two, putting in practice all these amazing things, which on the theory level they're amazing, but then in practice it's not so simple to put down, down to business, so to say. So what has been your experience there?
We started in 2017 with the claim to bring AI-powered SEO, and so that's almost 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago. And so you can imagine that over the course of these years, we have pushed the boundaries many times with our clients, and it is challenging. One aspect, of course, sorry if I think technically, but I will try to express it in business terms. One thing is that we think that we're dealing with, for example, a language model, and there is kind of some depth on what we understand about a language model. However, AI, it's a lot about scaffolding and the things that you have to put around it in order to make it work. Like a knowledge graph, it's part of the scaffolding. Google's ability to answer to, for example, a local query. It is about scaffolding and making Gemini capable of tapping into the Google Maps infrastructure. So usually with people and clients, it always helps to provide a better, an explanation of how the scaffolding works. Like, why 5 years ago I started to work with embeddings. And of course, embeddings 5 years ago, or even 4 years ago, in the marketing community, were still a very awkward thing to do, and of course, they haven't been integrated in major SEO platform. Still now, not all the major SEO platform integrate embeddings, but embeddings are a crucial part of. So, long story short. To run a business and with innovative technology, you have to take on the awareness part. You need to invest time and money in making people understand things. Today, I'm coming out on with a blog about the new embeddings in Perplexity. Now, the reason I share this, I mean, this is work that I have to do in any case. I need to understand how the system is evolving. I need to understand, why Gemini embedding are fast and more efficient than OpenAI's embeddings, and but why blogging? Who asked me to spend time to make these accessible to other people? And I think I've been quite somehow well known in a niche of people using Python and experimenting with Collab. And I was reading yesterday an article on Ahrefs that linked one of my early collabs. So I've been doing a lot of this work. Why you have to do this work? Because, when you are on the forefront of innovation, you need to educate people around you, and you need to share what you're learning as you're learning it. And for example, my friend Dejan does an amazing work there, and many others. The same Michael King, HyperRank. I mean. Our community is learning, but it's also sharing as much as possible. Sometimes there are weeks that I'm overwhelmed with work because I'm I'm doing a lot of CEO stuff and SEO stuff as well, plus product development. And so sometimes, some weeks I can't share. And if I can't share, I feel that I'm missing out because I'm losing connection with the community. So that's what you should do.
I can see you're passionate about all the research part, and it's
Oh, yeah.
super important for you. And when it comes to me, I came to love the business side of things now more the SEO side of things. Sorry, guilty of that, because I generally love to connect with people
Yeah.
and that type of thing. That's why we're doing these conversations. But I can super relate to what you said, and especially in industry which is so fast moving, it's very difficult to be up to date and then share and then also have interesting insights and then apply them to the business.
That's the virtuous cycle of SEO when it's well done. I mean, I've been also debating heavily on, let's call it SEO 3.0. Let's not call it geo. And
Oh
of
yeah,
course, there is
I
a lot
hate
of.
that term, man. Yeah.
I mean, it is definitely a new world, and so that's for sure. But we need to advocate for the things that we believe are moving the needle and helping marketers grow. I mean, marketing is about business growth, so in a way, it connects very well with your passion. I mean, you don't do good marketing or good SEO without a very laser sharp business approach. That's crucial.
What, in your opinion, was the most difficult shift from being a practitioner, let's say, deep into the work, versus having a business, and how people could, do this, moving forward? Someone wants to, hey, I want to have my own business, but I love the work? Or maybe how do you do it?
I did the opposite. I am a serial entrepreneur that became all of a sudden an expert in SEO
Which
while
is a bit
doing,
unusual, right?
which is totally unusual, while doing research on semantic web. So I was, running a research program on semantic web and content management system back in the days. As I transitioned from, after selling my previous company and starting up what brought me to WordLift. And as I was doing this, then I realized that what I was doing was becoming relevant for the search community because of the arrival of the schema.org vocabulary and the development of the knowledge graph in Google that seems very close to the architecture that I was researching on. So for me, it happened in the opposite way. So I was a serial entrepreneur that all of a sudden found out that I had to become an expert in SEO. I'm not sure if I succeeded. Sometimes I think I do because I have a lot of people that follow me. But deep in my heart, I think that my goal is to innovate, and whether it's SEO or content management system or any other upcoming technology or robotics, I think that I will keep on innovating. But the practice is important. The practice is, of course, what allows you to learn. So if you are an SEO and you're thinking about starting up a business, I think you should really focus on the success of your client, because that's the best seed for your new business. We exist because we have clients that love our work, and that's what you want to have.
Thank you, Andrea. This was great to have your perspective from a practitioner to a business owner. For our next question, I would like to cover a topic on the use of AI and how we are essentially evolving from a while back where things started. Although I know you've been in the field for a long while. Why I'm asking this, because our latest guests mention how we can remain human and how we can retain our humanity in a number of fields and aspects on how we use it. For example, our last guest mentioned that when people write an entire CV with AI, it will be bad, it will backfire. But if you use it as an assistant, whereby you provide the seed and then essentially it will help you enhance what you've already, then it's a great tool. So there's a good use of AI, bad use of AI, etc. Are people overusing it? And where do you think are the biggest risks in automating everything? Because I hear this all the time. Oh, automate for the sake of automating. So I know we can go on for 1 hour on this, but I would love to hear your thoughts.
This is a very interesting topic to unpack. Let's start building a framework around it. First, there is a concept that we need to be aware of, and that concept can be synthesized in a word: acceleration. Things are going faster than we can process. This is due to the fact that a significant part of the development it's done by machines that have a way faster processing capabilities than humans. So acceleration is impactful in many ways, because it enables things that were previously unthinkable, and that's beautiful. However, it creates an underlying tension and stress in humans, because of course it's hard to cope with this acceleration. So one way is, of course, to detach and look at acceleration from the inner perspective of a human being and try to see, okay, well, acceleration is coming. What is bringing that can be beneficial for me and other humans like me? Because we need to give a shape to acceleration in order not to be overwhelmed by acceleration. And in order to shape it, for example, if you are in a business, then you have to start thinking, okay, acceleration means that I can increase my productivity by 10x. Okay, interesting. What do we do with this productivity? Are we going to have more people or less people in our organization? I think the answer is we're going to have people that have different skills than before. Because for sure, acceleration will bring capabilities where we didn't have before, and will bring capabilities to certain type of humans that will never add that type of capabilities. I'll give you a practical example. One of my colleagues is 60 years old. And it was the guy that from whom I started to learn about SEO many years ago. And of course, when you're 60 years old, you have a lot of experience. So your mind is very strategic thinking that has a lot of value. However, this enormous value, it's hard to untap because of the execution that might be different from 20 years old. And for obvious reasons. Now AI, it's filling this gap, and so a person that has a deep experience, even if he does not have an executional strength, or maybe he doesn't have technical abilities right now, can be brilliant. And so that this is one way in which you can shape acceleration and benefit from it. For yourself and for the organization. So that's one aspect. Yes, we do risk to become less human because we're spending more time with non-human entities, and this amount of time that we're spending with non-human entities, of course, is shaping us. It's making us less reflective. It's making us detached. On one side of the curve, we can also see the rise of suicides made by young people that are interacting with AI that don't have enough, strengths and values around them to cope with that. So one key part right now, AI isn't safe. For young people, and it isn't safe for people that don't have a very strong vision and self-confidence. And so we have to develop this vision and self-confidence in order to operate in this turbulent ecosystem. And that's important. It's also as business leaders, it's also about us to guide the people and say, what can be done and what cannot be done. Of course, there is a lot of stress that nevertheless happens because of transformation in jobs that occurs because of this acceleration. If I was a coder, 15 years ago, I would be scared, to see what is happening. As an SEO, when I started, my claim was to automate SEO because it was needed, because people needed to write and focus on content writing and not on speaking with machines. That I could speak with my machine. And I'm still kind of there in a way, so I'm more on the robotic front. Even right now, all of the work that I do is to build a better agentic web. I already give for granted that the human web it's declining, and as much as I want to keep human at the center of the ecosystem, we have to be very concrete. Humans will not lead the transformation in the upcoming years of the infrastructure layer. AI hopefully will act as a gardener, creating the environment for humans to thrive. However, the risk that the humans will become like your dog, Rock, and he has I'm sure a beautiful life, but there is a risk that it's creating also a lot of stress. Now, to this point and to conclude. There is one very important Italian called Federico Faggin, who is known as the inventor of the microchip. So Bill Gates said about Fajin that the Silicon Valley wouldn't be called Silicon if it wasn't for him, because he's the guy that kind of made the revolution, made the microchip revolution happen. And in regards to these very deep and complex problems, he says that humans are unique. There's no way to clone a human, right? We can clone the cells, but we cannot create another human. We can create another robot with the exact same characteristics, but every human is unique. And that's not the only part. Humans are part of a larger entity. You can believe in God or not believe in God, but we are all connected, and that's another important strength. So we have to look inside ourselves and understand who we are as human being in order to cope with a fast-paced world. And if we're not ready, we shouldn't be exposed because it's risky.
Amazing, incredible topics here. I think one important one, thank you anyway, Andrea, for this, is on the young people, because I also see that as a ongoing risk and problem we have coming, where effectively also they didn't have, let's say, the experience side that we had, that I also mentioned with my other guests, that for example, I can crank out a strategy quickly now because that helped me doing them by hand, in one way or another, when I was doing in my agency years. So now I can quickly see, if I ask him, okay, make me a strategy based on X, Y, Z, and then he will provide it. Of course, he will still answer, of course, but I can quickly spot mistakes. No, I don't like this, not change this, change that. Whereas if you don't have the experience prior, you might simply say, okay, great, let's use this. But then an experience, someone with 15, 20 years experience might see mistakes right away. And I see this as an ongoing issue where young people think they can do everything with it, and they do everything with it, and they don't know where they should instead ponder and reflect on things. So this is a huge issue, and I don't have the answer. I don't know how we fix this with the guardrails, what you mentioned earlier.
It goes along also with, I think, today's or yesterday Anthropic report on the automation of the workforce and the actual risk that we currently have in terms of employment that is touching the younger generation more than the older generations. So this is a societal challenge. How do we create, the next generation of marketers that have enough experience if we, are not creating the context for learning in a way that it's palatable or plausible for a human being. That's a societal challenge. I don't think we have a solution to that right now. I think what is best is that we share what we learn, and because we're flying the plane as we're building it, it's extremely important that we're sharing everything that is happening. And that would be used by the new generation to understand. But there is a sense of fear, I think, in the newer generation. I was yesterday in a discussion with a couple of researchers, and they had made an experiment about with a couple of elementary classes, and they asked if AI should be brought into school and versus AI shouldn't be brought into schools. And there were, there was this debate, and the majority of the kids demonstrated that they fear AI and they don't want to have it in the school. And that's quite interesting, because if I thought my generation would be exactly the opposite. We wanted to have any form of devices and access to computer.
So you do less at school, right, in a way?
Yeah, it's exact opposite. If you would have asked to my class if they would wanted to have the internet or not, I think the vast majority, even if the internet was still a very vague concept, would have said yes, we want to have it. Right now, when you ask kids, do you want to have AI in class? The vast majority says no, and that tells you a lot.
I was telling my wife the other day, I don't know why we came into this topic that, when I was growing up, because she's from another country, she's from Philippines. So I was asking her, but when you were young, did they sell those encyclopedias door by door? Because we had them, no,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So I remember my elementary years research using the encyclopedia we had at home by, taking some facts and then providing them for the school project. And I thought, okay, there's no more encyclopedias whatsoever. No one sells those things. And then you have everything out there. So yeah, that's an interesting one. I didn't see that report. Thanks for sharing that. Considering everything happening, how do you prioritize what gets essentially mentioned to clients? This I would be curious to hear because we have so many advancements. At what point it becomes okay? This is great. We need to do it, and this is good for you. Let's say you are an enterprise business with an e-com. Make a practical example.
I think in general, again, business leads. So as a marketer, my goal is to grow businesses, and that's the starting point. And growth is not something intangible. Growth is it's more purchase order. It's more visibility that turns into leads. It's more people at your physical stores. So business is concrete. Marketing needs to align with business and create value because better business means better employment, better quality of life, and so on and so forth. So practically, of course, when you work on innovation, there is a lot of stuff that it's not going to happen,
In
from
practical
one
terms, yeah.
day to another. So historically, in I think in 2011, so way before I created WordLift, Schema.org was born, and I went to my largest client, which is a Fortune 500 companies, and I told them. I was pretty, as you can imagine, I was pretty,
Exciting. Yeah.
blunt and excited. And I say, we got to do this, right?
Do it. Yeah.
We have to start implementing, this emerging vocabulary on this new website that was celebrating, an important anniversary for the brand. I mean, this is a Fortune 500 company distributed in 34 different countries, and I went there and I say, we got to do this. And so of course, when you do innovation, there is a lot of stuff that will not turn into a concrete business impact, right? Right now, it's the same. I mean, you were mentioning before voice search. I was also on that bandwagon, and I was also very much convinced that we had to invest on voice search. And I was, doing a lot of experiments with, the first version of the Google Assistant and everything that came before to demonstrate to people that queries were going to be longer form, that, we should have stopped targeting the way in which we write queries in a desktop computer and start thinking long tail, because that was the future. And it didn't happen for God knows, I mean, many years.
Many.
Right now, kind of the same with agentic commerce. We saw just a few days ago ChatGPT kind of moving a little bit backward and say, well, yes, okay, but maybe we don't do the transaction on our platform because we actually aren't ready. And so you need to strike a balance between future-proofing your business, which still has a less tangible business value, but still it's pivotal for many brands, whether you're small or large. You have to future-proof your investments, but you have to find a solid balance. Today, if I would go to clients and say, hey, you're gonna make tons of money with traffic coming from AI, I would be a liar, because there's not tons of traffic coming from AI yet. AI is used in many different ways, correct? However, the search traffic is still predominantly running on Google surfaces. And if that is, running your business. And if your business is dependent on the search traffic today, I would be a liar if I would say go on and just focus on AI search, because that's the future, and clearly is the future. However, it's not going to pay the salaries next month for many organizations. So we have to strike a balance, and we can also say, all right, let's not look at AI search because it's not going to happen, and right now it's everything on Google. No, I mean, that would be also totally wrong. We have to find a balance.
Thank you for the view, Andrea. For my personal space, I've been telling clients about conversational search, which is, I think, the new way people are searching, which is sort of a blend between the two. And that is exciting for me. I've been saying about this for 2 years now in my little space. And we've been optimizing for different ways. But you're right, there's still a big chunk of traffic coming from the traditional search. But I do see a growing number of searches. I have one of my main clients is a construction company from the US, and they do get interesting queries from the search in AI, which is super cool. And so we provide there a copilot, and to integrate things there. And it's cool to see the use, because sometimes you will see use cases which are like, oh wow, this is incredible, but they're not the bulk of the traffic coming.
Yeah.
I agree. Then I have another one, which is a dermatologist, and also for them, they have it's quite a high-profile dermatologist in the UK, and he's also getting now AI search traffic, which is super interesting because we started writing content in a different way, a lot of FAQs, schema, structured data already months ago. But it's a bit, ebbs and flows, as they say. It's not a straight line that goes up and then this is the way. It's one of those things, and I think people like to be the first saying, hey, this is coming, and then they retract, oh, that didn't happen, okay, what's next?
That's what I was saying, that your example of conversational queries is the correct one, because there are nuances, and evolution is always in a continuum. It's not black and white. So the first point is understanding that there is a continuum, and so agentic commerce is a continuum. So we're starting right now to poke on this system and try to understand how to compare product A with product B, and we're getting a quite a rich experience in return. We can foresee that the transaction can actually happen in this platform, and actually we are very much committed to that. I do every day I do demos of how I can make a transaction happening on Claude, for example, using our agentic storefront that is built on top of our knowledge graph. However, we have to understand where is the organization, standing. What is their ability to invest on innovation, and therefore to be on the forerun, and what is instead necessary in order to keep the business thriving. And that's I think the maturity of the consultancy that we do needs to get to the point where we can understand what is relevant for a business and what isn't.
Looking ahead, what motivates you, and where do you think we're going? I know, a big topic again, but what do you think is next?
I am still very much focused on how a system can memorize and learn from past experiences, and how memory that characterize the human species can be brought into the new AI systems. Memory, we tend to see it as crystallized facts that happen in the past, but in reality, memory it's a prediction on what is going to happen in the future. Now, current systems, whether we use retrieval augmented generation or a graph retrieval augmented generation, is still primarily focused on past experiences. So I think that what we should instead focus on is how memory can impact on how the system reason on what is going to happen, and that's way more interesting. So a lot of the things that keep me up at night is on training reasoning agents that can deal with memory, whether this is procedural, episodic, or semantic. What does the system needs to know in order to predict something different? So yesterday, I'm now focusing on a couple of research fields, but one field is it's on recursive language model. So it's this new technique that allows a model to extend the context by calling itself multiple times and dissecting information that it has captured from previous actions or conversation. And while doing this experiment, and of course the agent moves in an environment. So he has an environment, and he can use tools in order to construct a memory layer. So I'm porting this idea to the knowledge graphs. So the agent has the knowledge graph as an environment and has some tools to explore the knowledge graph. And I was working on the knowledge graph of our blog, and I was speaking about one concept that it's very close to our work, which is the GS1 digital link, which is an international standard for products, and agentic commerce. And these two concepts that in my mind are very close, but in the writing that we have on our blog and therefore in the knowledge graph, they are not yet well connected, okay? Because it's happening. It's not there yet. There is no a clear link between a standard like GS1 and the agentic commerce. For me, it's becoming very evident that it is. So what I was able to notice is that by using this recursive approach over the knowledge graph, while there is not a connection, the system was able to predict that should be a connection there, just like I can infer that should be a connection there. And so this is, I think, it's in a way it's where we're going.
Thank you, Andrea. I have one small question connected to this. Do you think websites are ready at the moment? And will websites disappear eventually?
Websites in my daily work have already disappeared. For many years, I've been building graphs that are, way more efficient data structures for a machine to do things. It doesn't mean that they have to disappear, because websites are still extremely valuable for the human visitors. And the effort that we put in creating, a fruitful user experience, it's still valuable. However, it's less valuable, and it will be less and less valuable as the majority of the users will be made of piece of softwares. So in my vision, a website is already gone and forgotten. However, websites will remain. So what is not forgotten is the content structure that you have on your website. That's what I call the ontological core of the organization, and that should be actually expanded and further developed as we get closer and closer to AI. So yes, readiness. We do have an audit, audit.wordlift.io, that is actually designed to assess how ready is your website for the arrival of an agent, and
that does the same thing of your website, something like that?
Yeah, it does. So you put a URL, and it will try to look at things that an agent would expect from that URL. Like, are you using any entry point like MCP, or do you have a well-known folders that, for example, Google requires for the Universal Commerce Platform, or is your content semantically structured so that a machine can read it even if it only reads a slice of text? Or is the rendering speed fast enough for an agent? Or are you using client-side JavaScript that an agent might not be able to process? Things like that. So I developed this tool because I want the web to become as agentic friendly as possible.
Then that will have a lot of friction in general.
Yeah, and I can tell you from the few months of use of this tool and the thousands of websites that come into these tools that we are far from being ready. Now the technology is advancing, and therefore even if we are not ready, as we were discussing before, the new GPT 5.3, it's better at reading websites in any case, even if your website isn't ready. Models will get ready to read it, but it's kind of two sides. But interesting enough, into this audit, we have added support for WebMCP. Now, WebMCP is a new standard that it's been proposed by Microsoft and Google, much like schema.org, and it's currently a working group inside W3C, which is also a positive thing because it can make the work more transparent and trustworthy. And if you go on the audit, Gemini will be able to run the audit for you without typing into the browser, because the WebMCP allows any website to let agents do things without messing up with the DOM and the HTML and JavaScript.
Originally, I also asked you if we're ready for no websites, because I was in a business meeting and the strategy director of the client asked on the open conversation, should we delete our website? Should we have no websites? And then I went, no, you should have a website, but with some caveats, right? Especially because their users will still expect them to have a website. These people do events, business trainings for people, conferences, and say, no, you do need a website, at least a representative one. You do need one. You cannot not have one as of now.
The question is not about having or not having the website. The point is how agentic friendly is that website, and
What you have, yeah.
And also what is the entity density of this website, because entity density, it is an indication of what do you have to say to the world. At your core, you're a business event. Okay, good. Is it very clear where you're operating? What are your unique selling points? And how much does the service cost? I mean, the ontology of a business, it needs to be crystal clear. Now, this is very easy for example, for retail or an event business. It gets more complicated when it's an intangible product like an insurance or a debt relief product or a credit type of product. So everything that sits within the financial, it's way more complex and articulated, and that's where we need to work the most, I believe.
Thank you, Andrea. If you could nominate a person for our next guest to take here on the channel, who would that be?
You could speak with Jarno van Driel, who is an international structured data and SEO consultant and a dear friend. You could speak with my lovely colleague Beatrice Gamba, who is also deep into symbolic AI and semantic SEO. And I would both make terrific guests for your show.
Thank you, Andrea. Please drop me the links. I'll reach out to them. Where can people find you, and what are the best channels to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I'm an entity on the Semantic Web. Just kidding. Yes, I am. But I'm somehow active on X as CyberAndy. Of course, our website is WordLift.io, and I'm on LinkedIn as Andrea Volpini.
It was a pleasure having you on Rock SEO. Rocky is a bit sleepy because he was having a nap. We hope you'll enjoy the conversation. Thank you once again, Andrea, for being on our channel. And please subscribe for our next episode. We publish every Friday. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.